Okay. How are you?
When the most beautiful girl in the world was born, she didn't know there was a line drawn around her body, separating it from the rest of the world. She thought she was the world, and the world was her. When she held a toy, pointed at a cat, first saw stars, this was all part of the being that she was, ever moving, ever changing like water. Then she grew older and began to learn that she was only a part of the world. But through her body she could still make the world hers as she ran and jumped and climbed, and through her body she felt the pain and the ecstasy of the world. My wild child. She grew older again, and there was another separation, that of herself from her body. It was no longer hers. It belonged to everyone, and everywhere she looked, she saw how imperfect they thought it was, and she was ashamed. "You have to look like this," smiled the shining women in their photographs with their bright teeth and fragrant hair, their bodies thin but curved, tanned but not too dark, their latex smooth skin. So she scrubbed and shaved and starved and purged. She no longer loved her legs because they could run, but instead she hated them because they were dimpled. She no longer wore a dress because the colour made her happy, but because the shape hid her belly. She stopped throwing her head back to laugh because her teeth were crooked. She forgot how to love because she knew that she was unlovable. She grew older still and had babies who left her belly soft, and that too was shameful that she didn't have the self-discipline to be thin in 2 weeks. Lines began to appear on her face, which also was her fault because aging is something that only the lazy suffer from, and she became not only unlovable but invisible. But at least her body was hers again because nobody else cared about it. One day, as a very old woman, she was standing on the shoreline watching the sea, and a memory moved in her and she wanted to be in the water. So thinking that she was invisible, she took off all her clothes. It was then that she realised she wasn't invisible at all. People had been watching her all the time, ensuring that she stayed in her place. But now that she was naked, the people on the beach reacted in horror. To show a lifetime of living etched on a body is a terrible crime. She waded into the sea and felt the pain and the ecstasy, the first thrilling shiver and then a slow warmth move through her. She moved through the water, kicking and bobbing, pulling and pushing, and she remembered that her body was hers. And as she swam, the line drawn around her body melted away, and the most beautiful girl in the world wished that she had lived her life remembering the things she knew on the day she was born, that she was the world, and the world was her.
Bravo!